right. Hello, everybody. Facebook
What's
land.
what's going on, everybody?
I'm here with Bradley Dean Divins, my partner in crime in the Enrique Iglesias camp. How's everything going, Bradley?
All is well in quarantine land.
I know, right? So,
Yep.
what have you been up to now that we're on lockdown?
But well, believe it or not, I've been doing actually a lot more playing guitar, playing bass, and getting back to the music, which is kind of what led me to where I am right now.
I know, and that's cool. I saw this video that you had doing a song of one of your favorite bands, Pink Floyd. It's killer performance, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, something I don't know what it was, but I had been thinking about that for like a week, and I kept going down in the studio and I played it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then finally, I just went down there one night and I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I did it. And so now there's going to be more coming.
That's how sometimes things come out better than anything.
Yeah, exactly. Because I went down kind of thinking, well, maybe I'll pull it off this time. And then I just sat down there until I did. Something just clicked. So I think now it's going to be, what's the next song that I'm going to do? Because we're not mixing shows for anybody anytime
Correct.
soon. So
Yeah,
might as well play some music.
that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So what have you been doing?
Same, busy here in the studio mixing. Luckily, people knowing that we're home, some people send me stuff to mix here. So I just finished an album with a man called The Latin Killers. Pretty cool music. Kind of like, they're like 21 Pilots-ish, but in
Cool.
Spanish. So doing that and working on some stuff with Cielo. I think actually, uh, yeah, apparently I want to make sure everybody's hearing everything okay. Let us know because there might be a slight delay or some kind of thing. Let us know if everything sounds okay out there, please. Send us a little note. So yeah, so just doing my thing here as we always do, trying to stay busy.
Yeah.
Getting used to being home this much.
Yeah, I was actually recording a band in my studio when the state got locked down. Band called The Arrival. It's a local band here in Hagerstown.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Are you
making
still doing overdubs for that, or
what's that?
you still working on that album? You still working on it now?
Yeah, we're waiting for the restrictions to lighten up a little bit here in the state, and maybe we'll start up again.
Yeah.
Maybe he comes in and stays 6 feet away from me and straps a Les Paul on, and we go.
Correct. Just to kind of go straight into it, and we gotta basically
Exactly.
we're gonna play catch up as we go along.
Yeah, put on a mask and some gloves and sit in my basement.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and we gotta also see what the next step is, which is why we're trying to do this. This is the first time for us, I guess, and I mean we've been, invited to participate of other people's interviews or seminars and things like that online, but this is new for us. I've been, in this cave learning how to do this. Hopefully, it's turning out okay. Uh, Someone wrote me a note that there's like a delay. Oh no, everything's good with audio and video.
Cool.
Could be a touch louder, they said, but I'm Canadian. Oh, that's Jim. Jim Yakubuski is checking in.
What's up, Jim?
How's it going, Jim? Friend Luis is there. Steve Divins.
Uh-huh.
Everything's fine with audio and video. Okay, cool.
Cool.
So that's good news. That means so far so good. Uh, you know, I think this is changing a lot. I mean, yes, there has been a lot of stuff going on online for a while now, but I think this has forced a lot of people like us to learn this new craft, which is all this streaming thing and video and right.
Because we don't do video.
No, I don't do video well, and we've been actually reaching out to a lot of friends. Jorge, who is our video director with Enrique, and like my friend Christian, who knows a lot about the streaming stuff or doing stuff online. And I've been reaching out to a lot of people and trying to learn, and it's a whole different ball game, and I'm trying to figure out. So this will be the first of many, hopefully.
I got adapters and cables everywhere. It looks like a ball of spaghetti behind my rack here.
Oh yeah, It reminds me of some of those shows that we've done, you know, like in some places that sometimes get a little nutty, you know.
Yep.
So let me jump into that and ask you something because I get asked that every time I'm somewhere. So I figure why not ask my brother in arms, like if you were to recall any particular instance or show, like what would be one that kind of left a mark, and not necessarily in a like, oh my God, this was amazing. Just something more like a funny story, perhaps.
I would have to say the day that we walked in at sometime around noon to 1 o'clock, I think in the afternoon,
Uh huh.
to see PA in boxes on the field.
Oh, I think I have some photos of that. Check it out.
And we were going to have a show in like, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours from that time.
I
And
do
there's
remember that
amplifiers,
day.
there's speaker cabinets, everything in cardboard boxes sitting on the field.
Wow.
What was it? There was a flood at the warehouse for the sound company. And so they had to call JBL and get all new gear sent in.
They bought a whole new rig that we didn't get to test. It took us a while, right? Because I mean, it wasn't just audio that had issues. There was some, you know, video, lighting, staging, everything. And by the time we got to be able to work anything, the place was full of people, with thousands of people, and you only heard the PA once with me walking the microphone, basically, right? I just walked the microphone on the runway.
Well, JBL sent a guy
Mm-hmm.
so that everything would get set up correctly. And I think we heard a little bit of music, but at that point there was like 25, 30,000 people on the field waiting. And I'm just in front of house, like shaking, like, okay, I hear music. And I think we'd already done the line check, obviously. So it's like, well, I need to hear the PA. So we heard maybe kick and snare and Enrique vocal. And I think you walked the runway and that was it. It's like, okay, go. But I think we also, to make matters worse, didn't we fly in from like India?
Yeah, it was a long trip from somewhere else. I believe it was India, right? Like Goa. Was it Goa maybe? Or
it wasn't like we had a couple days off, nice rest.
No, we went straight there, and it was an interesting day, and it was like set up and go. But it was set up and go, and we were super late, also starting the show, but because the gear wasn't running, you know.
Yeah. But the beautiful thing about something like that is that, you know, we remain calm all day long because it's like I'm not going to get worked up about anything because
we have no control over that.
Have a show at some point today. I just don't know what time it's going to be, you know. But then when the downbeat happens and the crowd screams, and you know, it's like, all is well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, nobody knows what we went through. The crowd doesn't know, and we just do our thing. You know?
And it's funny because some of the best shows we have, I think, as engineers sometimes, and we don't see it until after, is after going through all of that and the setup, and of course our crew who's even there earlier and setting up and trying to make things work, at the end the show turns out really good. The audience has no idea. All they know is that we started a little late, and then basically it turns out really good. Like there are no issues. Everybody's happy. Everybody's like, what was the big deal? It's like, what do you mean? It was like we barely had a show, like barely, but it turned out great, and we have now a story to tell, I guess, about it, you know?
Yep. But kudos to JBL for pulling that one off because, you know, sent all the gear in, got it set up.
Yeah, because it was definitely, it wasn't looking too promising when we were there. You know, it was
because we walk in all fresh. We're like, hey, what's going on, everybody? And then
we're like, oops, there's nothing going on.
Points out in the field and says, look out there.
Yeah. And usually one of the first things we do when we arrive to a venue is what?
What is the first thing we do?
I guess we go to catering first.
Yeah. What's the first thing we say to somebody when we walk in the venue? Where's catering?
Yeah, exactly. That day we couldn't do that. That day we had to all right, we need to go with that, you know, all hands on deck kind of thing, and try to make that show happen. And it did happen, and it was a great experience. It was fun. And it's just one of those things. Now, at least it makes for a good story, you know?
Yep. I tell that story often.
Let me see if anybody's here. Yeah, I always get asked, and that always pops out, right? that question always pops up as far as what is a crazy story that we have about a show, whatever, and that's the one show that we always remember. There was another one. Remember, we were in the Dominican Republic,
Oh yes.
and it was all of a sudden it's just pouring rain, and it was at this venue called La Romana, I think. It's sort of like a mini Roman
Yes, it was because
theater,
I was
right?
all the way up in the top of the seating.
Yes.
I was looking down on the stage, and
Yeah.
you were like in a hole of surrounded by concrete.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and then it starts pouring, but so much, and I can see it coming down the steps because they were like the seating was basically steps, like a coliseum kind of thing, and then just the water starts rising. It was like
Yeah,
water up to my ankles.
it wasn't a typical Caribbean storm, which blows in and blows out. This one
No,
just kind
it stayed for a while. Next all the wires and power line, everything's underwater basically. They start putting tents to try to cover the consoles and things like that, and we did the best that we could, and we were like, for a
and then
moment,
we
we were at a standstill, and then we went to catering, and we were at a standstill for a little while, but while we were waiting for the rain to go by and see if the gear's even working, we start testing things, and half of it is working, half of it is not. Discussions start happening. Is this going to happen? Is this show happening? I think the pedal board started misbehaving too and working, and we just kind of put things upside down and hope for them to dry, and just
and
wait it.
went away. The moon came out, and it was another one of those memorable evenings.
Exactly. All of a sudden, and we thought it was going to get canceled.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, of course, management was like, please, we got to try to make this happen. And of course, we were there to make it happen, and we went for it. And just check the gear, make sure it's all good. We checked it. Is it working? Yes. All right, let's go. The one window that we had where it stopped raining,
Yeah.
and we said, okay, it looks like it's going to work. Let's go. And we
that's-
started, and it was great. I think we might have had one channel that went bad, maybe on the sub snake, that like a tom mic or something, if I remember correctly, that might have started acting out, cutting in and out, but that was it. Considering the amount of rain.
I know. It wasn't a little amount of rain.
No, it was not. It was quite a bit actually, But let's see if anybody has. I don't know how many people are checking in so far. We got 37 people watching. That's pretty cool. Thank you guys for supporting our first effort to try to do something cool for you guys and just talk about our experiences. And we're not gonna get too technical. There's a lot of our colleagues that cover a lot of that very well. We just want to share our experiences, musically and mixing. And I know Brad comes from a musical background, same as me, but you come from a rock background, right? Weren't you in a kind of a known band?
Yeah, kind of. Although not well enough known. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
You wouldn't give me the time of day if you were that famous.
Oh, no, you might be doing my monitors.
Well, maybe. You told me already that you'll be a handful to deal with.
That's true. I probably would be.
I heard you used to kick wedges off the stage. Is that true?
Well, it was only if they couldn't turn them off quick enough after they couldn't make them sound like I wanted them to sound.
Well, maybe you did need me back then. I would have done my best to make sure you, my artist, would have been happy.
I don't think I was very good at describing how I wanted my wedges to sound. All I could say was make them sound like my voice sounds in the PA. I didn't know what that meant.
You wanted like a front of house mix on your wedge.
Yeah. I didn't want it to sound all dry and in my face.
Of course.
So if they couldn't get that going, then I would say, can you turn it off? And if they didn't do that quick enough, then I'd unplug them.
Unplug them?
Well, I would unplug them. There was a couple times where I did that. I think there might have been one time where I flipped it over and stood on it as well, just to make a point.
So you were really a handful.
Maybe.
Man, I'm trying to see this, and this is why I'm not good at this stuff. I'm trying to see where I can see all the comments, but
I see comments.
I
if
see
I'm looking
some,
at
but
things.
I only see 4 at a time, for some reason.
Well,
we'll get to them at some point.
we'll figure this out eventually.
Yeah. So what's cool. One thing that I've learned, and it's been really good with us, is is that a working relationship between someone at front of house and monitors? I think that's been crucial not only for our friendship, of course, which we developed fairly quickly, but to be able to work together and share how we're gonna work with our artists, right? Which
Exactly.
it's been great with Enrique. You've been there now 6 years. I've been there going on 8 years. So, uh, you know, we're not the type of people who walk in with that attitude of like, well, I'm walking in and this is how it's gonna be. There's a new sheriff in town. You kind of same with me. When I came in with Enrique, I kind of had to adjust to what they were doing first, make sure I first of all that I can keep the gig and then gain their trust and get familiar with everybody and the equipment that they're using, and then little by little, if I feel that there has to be an improvement or we can improve something with a certain piece of gear, then I can bring that up, right? And
Exactly.
you were the same way. You came in and roll with certain things that maybe at the beginning you were probably going, I wouldn't do it normally this way, but you were like super cool and just immediately I could tell, okay, this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be fun because you're respectful of where you're walking into, and also I immediately gained respect because of that. You were like, tell me what you
Well,
guys do.
why would you walk into a situation where there's 15 people that you're one of the group now?
Correct.
It's easier for you to adapt to what's going on than for all them to adapt to what you think you want to do. You know, I wanted to come in and I wanted to come in and nail it. So for
Yeah.
me, like, there's nothing wrong. I'm going to mix this. I'm going to mix this gig in a chateau in the south of France, and
Oh, I remember that, and then that was the first impression too, because I was
yep,
like, okay, and I know they were trying to get you for a while. It took a while to and let me mention this and then take it away and tell the story how it came about. But I know it was on the works to try to get you in for a while, and then you're finally there, and we're like, okay, and we're in this chateau doing a wedding or something, right? I think, and then
exactly. And I'm in the corner,
yeah,
of,
you're like in the corner, way in the back of the room.
surrounded by black scrim, so you
Yeah,
couldn't see me.
correct. So, and we didn't. Do we have like a mini tiny runway, maybe like a little truss, right? Maybe, or was it anything?
No, I don't think
Not
so.
on that one, right? So
No,
but I still walked out with a microphone. I walked out with Enrique's microphone and put it because I know he was gonna go walk outside and mingle with
yep,
the audience or sing a song with him. So I just literally went and pointed it right at the PA, and it was
right.
clean. It was so clean. Not only was there no feedback, but it was just the mic sounded really clean. So I was like, oh, okay, I think we're gonna be good here. It's gonna be great.
I remember thinking, why did he just do that to me?
Why is this jackass pointing the mic at the PA? Hey,
Yep.
it worked. The reason I did it is because at the time we were using a certain microphone that wasn't quite working for us, and we would have feedback a lot.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily because of any particular front of house engineer. It was more, you know, the nature of the scenarios that we were in, but you figure out right away from day one. You kind of had it like, okay, whatever you did, which I think now I know now what you did, and I implemented it too when I've been in that situation. But you can explain that a little further if you want. But
It's a simple little trick. It's the low pass on a channel strip. The low pass at down around 10K.
yeah,
And because of the gradual slope on the particular channel strip that I like to use, you still get a lot of top end out of the microphone. It doesn't really affect it that much, but it's that little thing that keeps it from sailing, keeps 12K from singing through the PA when he walks out in front of it.
and
You know,
that made a world of a difference. Not only in that small particular gig, but also everywhere when we had the 40-foot truss
exactly.
and the regular arenas or stadiums.
You got people screaming and he walks out there and you got to rail the mic up. You don't want to have feedback.
No, 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 no. And we, we also spent some time working on that quite a bit. We I walk it and the runway and with the mic, and you're a full volume, and I always bug you with that too. Hey, can you be a full volume right now, real quick, so I can check my in. And it's funny because people hear us banter like, "Come on, dude, we've been playing for like, half hour already. I don't need it a full volume. I'm done." But sometimes I need it just to make sure how it's blending into the in-ears, of course, whether it's for Enrique in this case, or even for the band members, you know, I always ask you, right? And you always make fun of me on the talkback, but hey, did you turn off the PA? And you're like, yeah. As soon as I can, well, sometimes it's harder to tell, but, or the band members are like, hey, did you lower the low end of my mix? I'm like, no, I think of Bradley turned off the PA. So then I go, hey, Brad, can you turn on the PA? He goes, okay, Eddie. We just bring it up.
Eddie, we'll turn it back on.
I don't want to torture everybody here setting up the chairs and everything, but
Right. There again, that goes back to the relationship between monitors.
yeah,
How, each of us play a part in the other person's gig, even though you might want to think, oh, I just mix front of house and I just mix monitors, but it's really not that way, because what you do for the band and you make the band happy and Enrique happy, and that in turn gives me a better performance from them and it makes me happy. And it's like, then everybody's happy.
yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, yes, we got to keep our client happy and, band members and everybody, but we I think it's important that audience, everybody's happy and that we get to enjoy our work and we get to also, enjoy that portion of it,
Yeah. And when we enjoy our work, that's a direct result of everybody else having a good time.
Exactly.
And then it's apparent.
Yeah. And that goes again, what we're reinforcing a lot here now is that relationship, front of house and monitors. And I know there's many people who work as a team. We haven't experienced that together in another gig, but we're spending many years doing it together here. Yeah. I know there's guys, like Pooch and Tater that done stuff together with many acts, and they're just like, tight, and they just know each other so well that probably makes it very easy for them to work together with any act, as a team, and I see that with us too. Like, I'm pretty sure no matter what we do, if we go anywhere together, or we're always gonna have that mutual professional respect besides the friendship that goes without saying. And like what we do even when we're here, like if I do a mix and I kind of hit a wall, I kind of feel like, I'm burned out. I need a fresh ear, a fresh perspective. Yeah. What do?
Send it to me.
Ninja, are you busy? And you got, no, I gotta send you the track. You check it out. It goes, yeah, it's cool. Or maybe this could be a little louder, a little quieter, whatever. And we're honest with each other. We don't try to sugarcoat it or nothing. And you do the same. Like, you send me stuff so I can check it out. And we just, there's no room for egos when it comes to that. We're just two friends, colleagues sharing information, techniques.
Yep, that's it. And I feel that any change that either one of us wants to make with regards to the show, that we're going to go to the other one and say, hey, what do you think about this? Which I think is how we ended up switching microphones. And hey, you want to try this microphone?
Oh yeah.
Let's try it.
Absolutely. And there's no like anybody forcing anybody. What's that? I'm sorry.
Let's try one microphone right now.
Correct.
We're not going to change all 25 of them. We'll try one.
Yeah, and then that will lead us to check out all the models or try to put that mic in a different scenario, in a different instrument, and it's worked out great for us. And even when we switch capsules, when we went from 105 Neumann to a DPA de facto for Enrique, we waited for the right time. We didn't just switch it overnight or try to trick him into something. No, we discussed it with him, and it took us a while, only because, changes are tough, I think, for any artist, for me too. Like, if you tell me, oh, tomorrow you're gonna, we want you to start mixing on a different console, I'll be like, I don't know about that. And not that I couldn't do it, but when you're doing something with a certain piece of gear forever, you're kind of very familiar with it. You can do things without even looking, right?
Yep.
So it took us a little while, but we eventually had him test it, and he loved it. And
I like that story, though. I think you should tell that story.
The whole thing,
how we got him to, because you and I had tested the microphone out on the runway. I don't know how many times.
Yeah, we already had it ready, and then we were using it already on Laura and Celia, on our background singers, and they sounded great. And they normally sit
all the drum mics.
Oh yeah, they sit between the percussion and drums, and it just made it so much better, so much quieter, and whatever was being picked up by it still sounded like a regular drum set coming through, or percussion. It didn't sound like an EQ'd version of it because it was being picked up from the side. So it was more pleasant, even as bleed, or as leakage. But then, you know, as we were trying to change the capsule for Enrique in this case, you know, we waited and had many discussions with him until we had a rehearsal schedule.
I
And
remember.
remember that, so that was fun. But I basically, all I did is, because I didn't want to make any drastic changes for him, I basically just EQ'd and tried to match what we had before for his in-ears, because I knew we were going to have a benefit anyways, whether I changed the curve of it just to make sure he's comfortable and there's no changes. But the benefit for me was going to be way less leakage, less bleed from audience and instruments coming into the mic. So I didn't change it much for him and his ears, but I had the added benefit of that. But I knew it was going to be very beneficial for you also, you know, out there with the screaming fans and everything, which for me was basically like a room mic. If he was to sing soft, and you know, when he does that, like on Bailamos, he sings really soft and has that sexy, breathy voice. He's in the middle of the audience singing that, as you know. And it was hard for me to turn him up in his in-ears
Yep.
until we switched the capsule. Now I'm able to just turn him up and his vocal just comes forward. So those are things that are very helpful. And we were happy when he was able to switch or willing to switch. He's very open to that. And like I said, that was what we discussed earlier about trust and, you know, earning the trust of your artists and band members and things like that. So when you propose something, they actually listen and trust that you're doing it for their benefit, not just for a brand or nothing like that.
It's because we wanted to use the microphone.
No, of course not. That's not how we roll, and that's something that you and I take a lot of pride on. As far as anything that we use or endorse, it's because we truly use it and believe that it's a good piece of gear. You know.
Exactly. Yep.
So tell me.
Here's something I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Why is it, no matter where we are in the world, and you say, "Hey, let's go get some lunch," and I say, "Hey, let's find some Thai food."
That is something that we do. And well, first of all, we love Thai food, of course, right?
Yes, we do. But why is it Thai food?
No matter where we are.
No matter where we are.
And we do find some. Well, actually, you find places. Pablo, who's our programmer in the show too, great musician and producer too. He also is good, you know, finding places. And you guys are. We already got it. I start getting the text.
Yeah.
All right, we're leaving. Lobby call in 10 minutes. We found a Thai place.
Yeah. Remember that one place we went to where we walked actually like past the kitchen as they were cooking?
Yeah. Oh, where was that at? Was that?
I think that was
Kiev?
in like,
No, it was not Kiev.
no, it was like Belgium, or it was somewhere in Europe.
That
It's
was
somewhere
really good.
I've been looking for Thai food.
But it was good, remember?
Yes. And I remember walking up to the door and you guys were like, "Oh, I don't know about this." I'm like, "Look,
Trust me. You're like,
you want to go to?"
there
And
was
I
another. What about the other place you took me at?
What's that?
Remember you took me to another place in Amsterdam?
Oh, what was
Something,
that place?
the Blue Bird? The Blue Bird or something?
Thai Bird. Thai Bird in Amsterdam.
Oh,
You got to walk through
man.
the red light district to get there. That's again, you walk in and there's the kitchen, they're cooking, and then they set the plate down on your table.
And it was tiny, right? That place was super small, right? I could barely fit in there. It was probably had what, 3 tables maybe? But for 2 people each. We were
Yep.
like this, really tight. Of course, you know, me being huge, but great
But it's
food
all
too.
Thai food.
Yeah, why is? I mean, I guess we just love it. We do try local food though. We do. You know, we do that too. But we know we're gonna get local food when we go to the gigs,
Maybe that's what it is.
and then we're gonna get local food also when, you know, at the hotel and stuff like that. And a lot of times we just say, okay, is there Thai food here? Let's go check it out. We like spicy food. I guess that's what it is.
As long as we have a dish of prick non plow, we're good.
Oh yeah. that's pagra pao.
Yep. And then of course I told you that I had a recipe for it, and then I sent it to
And
you, and
the
now you make your own.
And you know what? My girls love it. In
Pat
fact,
Proud.
I should make it again.
I know my daughter just asked when we were going to have Thai food again. So
Oh, we gotta make it.
to venture out and find Thai basil
I think we should.
in the quarantine.
Well, yeah, that and also the Thai chilies, and then some fish.
A freezer full.
You still do? Oh, but you grow them, right?
I grow the Thai chilies.
See, I haven't
And
gone there yet.
so I have plenty of Thai chilies.
Well, send me some. Mail them to me.
Yeah, but you're in San Francisco.
So?
You should be able to find them.
Oh, no, I find them. I just want yours.
Oh, you want my Thai chilies?
Yeah.
I'll send you.
Organic.
Right? They're close.
Grown on Bradley Dean's Divins
That's
yard.
Yep, grow in our garden.
That adds value. If you can sign a couple of them for me, it'll be great too while you're at it.
Some Thai chilies.
And yeah, so I need to make some pagra pao and bring that stuff home again but your recipe had no onions though.
That's right. No onions.
Which is, come on, man. Come on. You got to have onions.
No, not me.
What do you put instead? Nothing?
I don't put any onions in.
Really?
I don't like onions.
Man.
So, one of the first times I went to Japan, a friend of mine took me to this, I guess like a noodle house or something. So the first bowl of spicy noodles I get, there's onions all over the top of the noodles. And I'm like, oh man, I can't have this. So I pushed them all to the side and I ate it. And I'm like, I got to learn how to speak. I got to learn how to say no onion in Japanese because we were going to be there for a while. And of course I did. And it's nigi nashi, as much as I can remember that. I think that's what it is.
That's onion, or nigi nashi is no onions?
It's no onion.
Okay.
And that served me well. And then of course we spend a lot of time in Mexico now. And of course I love Mexican food, but I don't want the onion. So I had to learn to say no cebolla. And I think maybe I learned to say no onions in Greek, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, your Spanish should be awesome by now, but I don't know if it is. You say no cebolla. What's the other word that you say every now and then? When we're talking and you turn around and goes, Claro. That's the extent of your Spanish, but it's getting better.
Looks up and says, oh, he's paying attention.
Yeah, he knows what's going on, but we're talking about you. You don't even know it.
Oh, he has no idea. Nope.
So I was going to ask you now, because I know you were planning to have your fixing to get mixing classes.
Yes.
And those are, for whoever hasn't seen them yet, they're pretty amazing. He deconstructs mixes with a couple artists and shows you, killer parallel processing and all kinds of really cool stuff that he does while mixing. So check out those classes. Stay I guess stay around, check it out. Look for the ads for the fixing to get mixing class. So now that you're not, because of quarantine stuff, are you planning on doing anything online?
Well, that's the plan. Obviously, my original concept of the class was to be in front of people and talk music and, talk about what I do and how I got into doing this, because I wasn't always a mixer. I was a musician first. And so, it seemed to go well in the live environment. The class ended up running like 5 to 6 hours. I'd go through a couple different acts that I'd worked for, live tracks, break them all down, talk about what things were important to me as a mixer, and try to keep it as creative and artistic as possible. So then when and we had just come off doing one at the Kennedy Center, which we did for I can't remember. I think it was like 150 people. It was like the biggest class we had done. And so there was going to be New York, and there was going to be Chicago and Atlanta. It was looking like the year was going to be really good for the classes. And then all of a sudden everything gets shut down. So here I am in my home with a console and trying to prepare, instead of being a 6-hour course, it's going to be like maybe 6 1-hour courses. And I'm working with JBL. We're trying to figure out how we're going to do it online. Maybe it'll happen towards the end of next month or first part of June. So yeah, I would say, just watch Fixing to Get Mixed, and you'll see me. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'll post something. But, keep my mixing chops up.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, man. Even, myself, obviously we always exchanging ideas and techniques and stuff, but it never gets old to watch you do it. It's always cool. There's always something new, exciting. When I was at your class that you did at NAMM for AES, right?
Yep.
That was killer. And it wasn't just, people who are not full-time engineers. There were absolute pros in that room, and they were all like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And they were all asking questions and wanting to learn things, and or just inquiring like why you do it that way. And it was just such an open conversation among professionals that was pretty cool. And that I think that's one of the cool things about your class, that is very intuitive, is very easy to understand, it's very uh, open. It's just like an open forum, basically.
I think the most important thing is that it's music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I like to talk about. I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about what I do. And, I hope people that come to the class get to experience it. I hope they feel the same way about it as I do.
Yeah, I was showing a little bit ago while you were talking I was showing the class that you had in DC.
Oh yeah.
Where was that one again?
That was at the Kennedy Center.
Oh, nice.
That was when when I found out we were going to do one at the Kennedy Center. I went down and met with the guys down there, and I'm like, I'm going to do a class at the Kennedy Center. It's like when you say the Kennedy Center, it's like, it's like when you're a musician and you say, hey man, I'm playing Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
And I'm showing the picture right now, and it's a room full of people, and the setup looks amazing. And I know you've been trying to keep that same concept of setup with the screens, and so people can see everything you do in the plugins, and
Yep.
and obviously the fader stuff is cool to see, but a lot of people are interested in how you're processing things, and being able to put that on the screen is pretty cool. So.
Yep. And then it's a matter of figuring out how to do it all here in my house, because like we said, we're not video guys.
No, like, hey, I was barely able to put this out right now on Facebook Live.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for Fixing to Get Mixing class.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be in a city near you, hopefully once this is over, and if not, online.
I think we'll be sitting here for a while.
I think so too, actually. I was trying to be optimistic, but
I know you are.
man, I keep hearing that bleep. It's all right.
You're a popular person.
Apparently. Well, is that bleep for some reason? Anyway, I'll figure that out for the next one, if we do a next one. How to get rid of those notifications.
Say, people that are watching, give us your comments. If there's certain things you'd like to see us talk about, send it in to either Eddie or myself.
Well, it's funny because my wife just put on the comments, goes, I guess you're making Thai tonight.
There you go. Do you have all your ingredients?
No, I have to go get a bunch, and I usually try to limit my grocery shopping to at least once a week only. No more than, most of the time, but I wash everything. I don't touch anything that I'm not supposed to touch. And
look who's calling me.
who is? I can't see it. It's small.
You can't see it?
Too small for me. Let me see. Oh, hold on.
JBL was trying to call me.
Oh,
I wonder
wow.
if I did now.
Tell me you're busy.
I'm busy, Raul.
So you're talking to the world online.
I'm just going to send him a message because that's like the third time he's called me.
So someone just asked Pete Colucci,
Oh yeah.
which in-ears does he use? He uses Ultimate Ears UE7.
Oh my goodness.
I'm on 7s or 11s because the rest of the band is on 11s. What's up?
Evidently, there's all kinds of questions.
Yeah, I'm just going through them right now to see.
Are you? Okay, I'm going to answer this live on Facebook, Raul.
Are you on the phone?
Oh, you just hung up on me.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Omar Martinez. Omar.
Yeah.
You remember Omar. Omar.
Yes, we know Omar.
So he asked what our setup is with Enrique. So I'll put a couple photos of my setup, and then I'll put ones of yours so you can check it out.
How come we don't see the questions?
I see him on just go to the live page and make it large, and you'll see all the comments on the side now.
Okay, obviously
someone just tipped me.
Tell him we have lots of questions. So why don't we just go to the questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna show Omar asked for what the setup is. I'm gonna go.
Raul.
So here's my setup. Avid S6L. Um, Universal Audio Live Rack, running Shadow Hills, Fatso, and all the goodies there.
You know,
This photo is when I still had multi rack, which now is obviously incorporated into the console.
okay, will do.
All my wireless is Shure, Axon Digital for all the microphones and handhelds and body packs, and PSM 1000s for in-ears. Of course, every loaded up in the console is Mac DSP, Plugin Alliance, Waves, all the Avid plugins as well, Empirical Labs. So that's what I have there on my console. Let me see if I can find one. Here's one Brad's set up. Brad, you want to describe a little bit of what your rig is?
Yeah, I was trying to look at these comments, but I'm dumb. So, describe what?
What your rig consists of, like your console, what kind of plugins? I'm showing some photos, but some of these photos have a mix of profile and everything. But you tell them what you're on now.
Is an Avid S6L. Excuse me. I also carry a real-time rack with me, so I can make use of some Brainworks plugins on the Universal Audio platform. I like Shadow Hills, as you can see up here on my screen, one of my favorite bus compressors. I use stuff from Empirical Labs, McDSP, Plugin Alliance.
Yeah.
I don't carry anything other than this real-time rack. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was a game changer, wasn't it? I think.
I think that's pretty much the gist of my rig. It's console, real-time racks, and some plugins.
Because everything else happens with your ears, my friend.
That's right. It's all in the ears. Smile and dial.
Did you see any other question you want to answer? I see.
I can't turn my phone sideways and look at Facebook.
Let's see. Let's see if I find something here. Oh, there's some new comments too.
Honey,
we'll get better at this. I promise you. So
I'll check my wife's laptop.
Yeah, my friend Luis asked if I use a Mackie 1604. No, Luis, I do not. Not lately, at least. I used to. Let's see. Emmett. Emmett's question: why do you guys call each other ninjas? Well, because we're like ninjas of sound is what we consider ourselves, I guess, or someone called us that one time, I guess.
Well, I was trying to remember like where that started, because I've taken it to like every gig that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Somebody in the group will be, what, my ninja,
Yeah.
And I would say it might have been Greg Howard.
Yeah.
That started that. Greg is Brad Whitford's guitar tech, and him and I worked together on Monster Magnet. I think that was the first gig. I think that's where it began.
So it goes way back. That's the origins of.
That was the origin of Ninja.
Well, Andrev,
our friend from Bulgaria.
Yeah, he's asking, how bad is B and C stage with Enrique with regards to feedback and spill? Are you riding the fader all the time? Go ahead, Bradley Dean.
Okay, so yeah, I'm riding the fader all the time. My finger actually never leaves the fader. Okay, so now I can look at some questions, I guess. Maybe.
Well, don't forget to answer Andres first.
Anyway, yeah, it's a matter of riding the fader. It's that little trick that I do on the channel strip with the low pass at 10K. Sometimes I'll even go down to like 7K, depending. Obviously you're going to splay the PA, the main hang, maybe a couple of degrees out, so it's not blowing onto the ramp. And but the biggest thing, the most important thing, is that when he goes out to the C stage, I don't mix at 99 or 100. I pull it back to, I'm not sure the dB limit that I pull it back to, but it gets very quiet when he goes to C stage. because why would I mix the C stage at the same level that I mix the main stage at when it's a whole different thing? It's acoustic set, you know?
I agree. Louder is not better. That's always what I say.
Louder is not better. It's just loud.
Correct. Now, the same answering to Andrev, kind of the same question, how it affects me on monitor side. I do ride his vocal quite a bit. If he's singing very quiet, then I'm gonna crank him up, and then when he starts singing a little louder, and sometimes it even goes. And people think I'm crazy for this, but my whole purpose is to try to keep his level pretty consistent and leveled, and even in his ears. So there might be syllables or words that I bring up and then bring him back down depending on what I already learned throughout the years of where he sings quieter, a little softer or louder. Then I'll make those moves to adjust.
Yeah.
And same with certain instruments when he's on the C stage, which is behind front of house. Then I'll make those adjustments, not just for Enrique in this case, but band members. Band members might get a little bit more click, or maybe they need a little more drums, whatever the case may be. But their mixes get adjusted, and of course I use Snapshot for that. But their mixes get adjusted for that C stage, for sure, because it's very different to be out there.
Just another animal altogether.
Completely, and of course, I bring down some of the reverbs, and then as they make their way back, then everything gets restored to their normal stage setting. So that was a good question, Andrev. Are you able to see questions there now, Bradley?
I do see questions.
So if you want to choose one to answer, go for it, man. This is very informal. We're not following a script or nothing. We're just kind of
okay. Here we go.
Learning as we go.
This is from Tater to you. Are you going to do any monitor mixing courses?
Oh, from Tater to wow, that's a cool question. I would love to. As I'm learning how to use all this streaming gear and everything else. The idea is, yes, to do maybe some instructional stuff or courses on monitor mixing, and then because I always done studio stuff as well as mixing in the box and things like that. So there's going to be a little bit of everything, but yes, I'm extremely interested in doing that, and that's something that will happen soon, I hope. So yeah, great question, Tater, and thanks for joining us here on this live thing with Bradley Dean Divins.
Oh my. Okay, so let's see if we have another question.
Well, Carlos Parker says, Bradley is a feedback ninja.
How about that? Carlos. All right. Oh, so here's one from James Hopkins.
Yeah.
Can I describe the gear that I used when mixing him and Garbage?
Go for it.
Let's see. Front of house for both of those acts was a profile. And everything was in the box. I carried a console, and that was it for those gigs. Him had a full live backline. Obviously, everything was live, and Garbage had everything was digital. So the only thing I had on stage for Garbage was a drum set and Shirley's lead vocal. Two completely different acts, but the approach was the same, I mean, the gear was pretty simple. I'm a less is more kind of guy. And once I find something I like, I kind of stick with it. I think I was on a profile from 2007 until 2017. 10 years.
I'll put the photo back on.
But, it'd be great to carry outboard gear, but is it going to work every time? And are we going to get it in Sri Lanka?
Well, that's another animal.
I'll just stay in the box. But I mean, that was it. It was pretty simple.
Well,
profile.
And that's a good point that you bring up with the certain gear, whether or not we're gonna get it. Like, I think one thing that our production team is very cool about is that our essentials, anything that could become a variable for us when it comes to gain or anything like that, like microphones, the iBoxes, pedal boards, because we don't use amps, so they come out straight out of the pedal boards. Yep. Interfaces for keyboards, anything that could be a variable like that, we travel with. Everything else is pretty standard that we can get pretty much anywhere. The console, which is the center of operation, is our heart or the brain, if you will.
Yep.
As long as I have that, we can do whatever. And we always request the same console. We really don't have an option two. It's that console, and that's what we need, and that's what we need to have. And then same with my wireless. The wireless, it's we can get them everywhere. The Shure wireless is pretty standard and it sounds great. So we travel with our essentials, and then we keep it consistent. I haven't changed a gain for our show in I don't know how many years. Like only at the very beginning, as we were dialing things up, or if something new comes up, we might adjust the gain. But for the most part, everything stays the same. We're just mixing with what we already have established.
I don't think I've touched a gain knob since I got on the S6, 2017.
I know.
You know right away.
Yeah.
Even though you argue with me sometimes.
I do argue with you, but I like arguing with you.
You say it's fine for me, and I'm like, it's not fine for me. How can it be fine for you?
We're metering at two different stages, two different ways, but that's what makes it fun. You know who gets the crack out of that is the band member, because sometimes.
I know.
Like your talkback will if I have it muted, then it will only come to me. Usually when we're in a song mode, right? But then I can talk to you also directly, or when we're in rehearsal, then you're open to everybody. So when we start arguing, but in a friendly arguing, I guess, we just start going at it. People just the band members are just cracking up. Here goes the married couple.
Well, because by that time.
Oh yeah.
By the time we get to actually listening to things, what have we gone through?
Yeah.
How long did it take us to just get to that point?
That's true.
Because every day is a different experience. So by then it's like, it's not the right level. I'm telling you, I know the level. It's not right.
Yeah. And even though we're joking about it, there is that level of trust that when we talk about it, we look into it for sure. Because it could be in many spots. It could be on the splitter going to you. It might be fine for me, and it could be not. It could be one-legged for you. So there are scenarios where that happens as well. So we just listen to each other, trust that our judgment is correct, and we always check with each other. Hey, does this look right? It looks low to me, or looks high to me, or check it out, and you check it, or I check it, and then we go back and forth. And most of the time, I would say we're on the same boat. Like.
And 90, it may take a little bit longer normally than it should, but in the end,
yeah,
the band walks on stage, we know that everything is right.
Exactly. And that's the idea.
That's the idea. And then at 10 minutes till showtime, you want to do it again.
Exactly. That's how I do it.
I know.
We do it, and then we wait. We just kind of. Yeah. It's funny because I know why you're making this reference, because sometimes we'll run a rehearsal, and it might be a long rehearsal all the way up to doors, and then we open doors, and we've basically been line checking for 3 hours, but then we're about to start the show, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's double check again, everything. I just can't go, not just check the essentials. Let's just go, or something to tell you, we won't have time. Let's just check the essentials, and wonder I end up doing what? We end up checking everything again.
Checking everything.
I know.
And I say to Pablo, watch Pablo. He's going to do everything again.
I know.
Check two things.
But it's funny because you mentioned this, and I remember you went to see Pink Floyd.
Roger Waters.
Roger Waters, sorry. So please tell me how that was.
Story, which I bring up to you every time you want to do line check right before the show.
Yes, sir.
So we walk into the arena, sit down, and the first thing I notice, there's no music playing. It's quiet. And I'm like, this is great. There's no DJ on stage, that's nice and quiet. Then the video comes on. And I also noticed there's no line check happening. There's nothing going on stage. And and it made me think, like, why can't we do that? Like the audience is just waiting for the show, and then it just starts. But,
Yeah, it's...
I mean, Roger Waters, and they're carrying the same gear to every show, and it's a whole different thing. It's just, but it's more than that. It's me just digging at you. No, let's not do it.
Of course. You live for that.
Let's stay quiet.
Just a little, you like that. That's all right.
Roger Waters not do a line check, but we got to do one 10 minutes before the show.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. But you know what? I will say that 99.9 times, or maybe
Everything's fine.
yeah, I would say that that's a fair statement, maybe, or maybe 99%, maybe without the point nine. But yeah, because we go through and how many times we have encountered an issue right before we go on? A few
Oh, there's
times. It happens.
been
Not every
once or
time.
twice. I know.
It has happened, and we always go, yeah. Aren't we glad that we checked?
It's just me being me.
I know,
That's
and I
stepped
go,
over the monitors and stood on them and looked at the monitor engineer.
just busting balls all the time.
Let's see if we got another question,
Yeah.
because I did see one here. Where is it at? I think somebody asked what microphone was Enrique on before we switched him.
He was on the Neumann 105 with a Sennheiser stick,
Yep.
5000 series. So we switched him to a DPA de facto 4018 V
Yep.
with the Accent Digital wireless by Shure, and it's been working out great. Especially, that whole C stage thing, wireless wise, is incredibly solid, and sonically because of the DPA capsule, it's just we're incredibly happy with that. So it worked out really well.
Here's a question for you, Eddie.
Uh-oh.
This is from my friend in Russia, who I think babysat me at front of house on one of our last Russian gigs. Do you play a musical instrument like I do?
I do. Not as good as you probably, but I play. I lean towards percussion and drums, even though I'm not a drummer. But I used to be in the band for like, I don't know, 10, 12 years, where I played keyboards and percussion, and a lot of times at the same time. So I'll be doing chords with this hand. I'll be playing timbales, cowbells, shakers, and tambourines with the left hand. So I do come from a musical background. I play piano enough to be able to fix it in Pro Tools, so I'll be able to play some stuff. From a musical family, and so I've been around it. So that's why I'm able to play a little bit. There's songs sometimes that I produce here with my wife where I'm playing bass. Most of the time I try to hire a professional bass player, but
Never asked me to play bass.
no.
Why?
Eh,
Because I play with a pick.
you play with a pick, and we frown upon that. No, I don't frown upon that, but
I know.
someone who just posted a question earlier or a comment frowns upon that. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, here's another one from my friend Juan, from who used to be from South Africa, and I think now he's in New Zealand. He says, "Do you gain share from the stage box, and who takes control, or do you use analog split?"
Do you want to answer it? Go ahead.
Only gain shared what? Once, twice, and it worked great.
It was great.
We talked about doing it, but for some reason, we like to torture Andreas with having to get us 4 stage racks.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out, but we haven't done it
right
that many times to say, okay, it's rock solid. But I guess I don't see why it wouldn't be.
And the times that we did use it, who took control?
I did. And normally it's whichever console gets turned on first, but by the time everything got set up, that's how it was already. Yeah. So they told me, but no, I think we did that also because of Phantom Power. Usually Phantom Power comes from my side, I guess. So
yeah.
So so that's kind of how it was, and it worked great. Remember, one time it was we were kind of forced to do it. Remember, is that the Sardinia time?
Carlos just gave you a dart.
Oh, I just saw that. That's great.
I think it was Sardinia.
Yeah, so we were already in Sorrento, I think, right?
Yes.
And we were already doing their private gig, and another gig came about literally 2 days later.
I think we had to gain share.
Yeah, we were forced to because they had 2 consoles with one stage rack each. That's all they had. There was nothing else.
Yep.
So the only way to do it was to gain share. And like I said, our production team is always very good about, yes, we have to, we it's important that we do this gig because it came last minute, whatever, but we don't want to jeopardize the brand and the sound and everything, of course, of Enrique or nothing. So is it doable? And we said, well, we could gain share. It's not it's not a thing that is not done. We can do it, and it should work great for what I hear. We haven't done it yet. I would like to test it before, but if we're gonna do this gig, let's do it. Let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? You know.
Exactly.
And like there was no change on anything. Like you turn on your console, your games were already set. Like you
Yeah.
always have them. Nothing changed really. It was pretty. Wow.
And because of how long we had spent, on the console with the same microphones and everything, and we're so particular in our gain. I like I say, I don't ever touch the gain.
Yeah.
It's not something that I grab for. If something's wrong, I know it's on stage.
But what was cool about it is that once it was plugged in and all set up, you were able to just walk up to the console and it was exactly like you had it, even without the gain sharing. So the adjustment happened in the background where you didn't even notice. Mine obviously was going to remain the same, but even when we tested, remember, I'm moving the gain, and nothing changed for you. It was the same because it compensates very quickly for that. So,
And of course, being that we don't for gains, we do use an analog split.
correct.
Passive.
Correct.
Yep. Must be a passive split. And again, so we know, because we know that our gains are going to be exact.
So here's a question for you from Raul Gonzalez.
Raul.
Brad, can you talk about not using subs on an aux?
I can say that I don't use subs on an aux. And I guess maybe the reason I don't is just because, I want the PA to be full range. I don't want to have to worry about, okay, so I've got low end in my kick drum and my toms and bass guitar, and let me send that to the aux. I just, I want to dial in low end on the kick channel and on the floor tom. To me, it's not a matter of why am I going to send it to the aux so that it goes into the low end? If I use high pass filters on everything, I don't need to worry about it getting where I don't want it. So left, right, subs, I'll put subs on a matrix. I'll do left, right, sub, front fill on a matrix.
That's what I like when I mix front of house too.
Well, and that stems from all the time I spent with Garbage. We did a lot of festivals one summer in Europe, and I didn't get to hear the PA maybe twice out of, if we did 50 festivals, I got to hear the PA twice before we went on stage.
Yeah.
So it was my way of dealing with too much sub or not enough sub. But again, that's full range. Everything's going everywhere. I understand why people may want to use subs on an aux, and maybe that comes from, I just need more low end and I want to dedicate certain channels only to the sub. But to me, that creates a separation in the mix. And I want everything to be the same on, left, right.
Being fed from the program, left, right. So it's balanced. Yeah, I agree. I could not agree more, actually. There's James Shaw. I know him for a long time. I haven't seen him in years. Yeah. So he says, this is a comment. Brad, for those line checks Eddie likes to do, if you share racks, you don't have to worry about if Eddie has it. You have it.
Hey, he's got a point.
I love that. That's awesome.
Be sitting catering for longer.
Exactly.
Before I go to front of house.
I love that. Let's see if there are any other questions. Jim Yakubuski, of course, he goes, yeah, less is more. That's what I'm talking about. Nice, Brad.
It truly is what it's about.
Yeah. And Jim, I work with Jim Yakubuski with Gwen Stefani. Amazing engineer. And, we, of course, became really good friends. We always, hang out after shows and we talk a lot, on the phone and stuff. He's a great guy. And, we do have different styles of mixing. Like he's definitely a less is more kind of guy. He keeps things very simple, but it sounds always amazing, and it's just a different approach. But we always talk about that because I go, not that I overdo it, but I use plugins and a lot of processing, whether I'm doing front of house or monitors. So in this case, monitors, and we discuss it and we talk about it. And every now and then he'll try something you know, and he'll say, oh, you know, I like that, or I didn't like this, or it was working for me in one scenario, but it wasn't for me. So that's another thing that is cool because we get to share those experiences. What works for me doesn't mean that's going to work for him, and what works for him won't work for me. But we talk about it. We share our stories, just like with you, Brad. We share our techniques or approaches or just of ways of doing things, you know. But
What in the end, it's just a matter of listening to the music,
yeah,
listen to the source, and decide what do I need to do to that.
correct.
You know,
And that's the whole thing with the approach. It is,
exactly.
you know, a lot of people, you know, very technical people get caught up on like, well, the computer says that, you know, this is the response we're getting. This is, I'm like, well, yeah, I get that, but my
But have you
ears are
listened to?
telling me otherwise, you know, and I'm walking the room and my ears, and at the end of the day, whoever's sitting in the audience is not going to have an analyzer or a smart open on a laptop while they're watching the concert. You know, they're going to be standing there. There's people screaming. It's like,
Yeah.
they're in different locations. So, you know, I don't like going without argument. And I know maybe I'm going to hit a nerve with certain maybe system engineers or whatever, but the reality is, yes, we got to trust the tools that we use. We got to trust or at least that's my opinion, I should say. Trust the tools that allow us to do this. But at the end of the day, we got to trust our ear, and we're mixing music. We're not going to be mixing pink noise. You know,
Sure.
we're going to be mixing music, and it has to, uh, you
Be
know,
musical.
be musical. That's really what it comes down to. You know, even if you're mixing a corporate gig, that yeah, you can test and align the PA and EQ it with pink noise and do all the stuff. But then you have 10 guys with lavalier mics. You're probably going to be doing some crazy queuing no matter what the computer said that you had before.
Well, there was no smart involved in my tryout gig in that chateau.
No, there was not.
I was in the corner. I had to walk out and listen to what I was doing and then walk back.
Nobody puts Bradley Dean in the corner.
Right.
And they did that day, actually.
They put me in the corner.
Let's see.
Let me talk about,
What's that?
you didn't ask me my first impression of you.
Oh, shit. Well, there's a reason why I didn't want to ask that, my friend. Well,
Oh,
all right.
here's-
All right. So what was your first impression of me, hot shot? Tell me.
Okay. My first impression of you was I looked at your, I think I saw your profile on maybe the Waves page. And you're standing there like this in front of the D show.
Yeah, I have that photo, actually, I think.
And I'm like, oh, this is Eddie Kaipo. Okay.
There it is. Oh,
So-
I look like a douche. Okay.
That-
The photo's
so-
on screen. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I get to Nice, I get to the hotel, and all you guys show up. And I think we ended up going to lunch. And we're sitting there, we're talking, and everybody's talking, and afterwards, you and I go for a walk, and maybe Carlos was with us or Pablo, and you ended up going for gelato, and you bought me ice cream.
That's right.
We were just shooting the breeze, walking down this street, and all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, let's get some ice cream."
That's
I'm like-
right.
And then I ordered, and you paid for it. You wouldn't let me pay, and I thought he's okay.
He's not that bad like on the picture.
And believe it or not, that's really that. And the tryout gigs for me were so stressful, like not really stressful in the logistical sense, but just for me, because I wanted to get the gig. And so, I mean, I remember you saying to me, "Hey, you know, this is what we use, but if you want to change something, feel free." And I'm like, "No, I'm good."
But it didn't seem, you didn't show the stressful part of it at all. I would have never guessed that, actually.
Maybe it was nervous, a little bit nervous. Like I felt confident, you know, because I knew that I was going to come in and mix how I mixed. I wasn't going to come in and change the way I mixed because it wouldn't be me, you know, because I mix rock bands, you know. So I come in and started dialing things in, but you were very hospitable.
Thank you. Thank you.
You were very hospitable and gracious.
Wow. I like
And
that. And then we
the
went
mic-
for Thai food. Then we went for ice cream, you said.
They just stuck the mic in the PA, and I'm
And they were like, what is this prick doing? Hey, it's kind of that was the test, I guess, in a way. Let's see what this guy's gonna do. Boom, put the mic right there. See what happens.
So there you go.
That's pretty cool. So let me ask you this, and not to get again technical and stuff, but and we mentioned some of it as far as a mixing approach. Uh, how do you approach a mix for front of house when you get a new artist, or what's your process?
Well, the first thing I do is listen to the music and, try to get a set list and then maybe get an input list. But I think that the biggest thing for me is to listen to the music and make sure that I know what I'm walking into and I know I know the songs. Get the input list, maybe get the offline editor software for the console I'm going to be using, and sit there and spin my mix up, in the computer. Try to do my homework as best I can. If it's being presented to me as, hey, we want you to come mix us, that would be my approach. If I'm filling in for somebody, then I may go to that person and ask for his console file.
Yeah.
May say, hey, what console are you using? I take the approach of, I'm just filling in for you. If they're happy with what you do, then I'm just going to, come in and do do your gig. That's kind of.
Well, one of the things that I like when I, every now and then, if I get a breather, not during the show, but during a sound check, I will walk out and listen to it at the very beginning, because you pretty much, after those two shows you did in Europe, we pretty much went to the tour, right?
After those two shows in Europe, I ended up going back and doing my other gig I think I had one more show. And then I was sitting in China at the hotel when I got the email from Carlos, which started out by saying, what was it? Something like, dear Bradley, we regret to inform you
that someone else didn't get it.
And there was this big pause in the email, and then it went all the way down the page. I'm like, shit, I didn't get the gig. Whatever, that we want you for the next 4 months. And then, then I came back from China, went straight into rehearsal, straight to Miami.
Yeah. And that's what I remember, going out there and listening to your mix. And that was another thing, because in those small gigs that we did, it was kind of harder to tell because it was a small place. But when I would go outside and listen to your mix, I feel, and this is not to sound like, anyway, but our approaches are the same, as far as always trying to kind of get that record sound, but live, like with more power in a way, right? Like yeah. It sounds, when you mixing, it always sounds so balanced. Nothing's just poking out. Everything's in the right place. What needs to be warm sounds warm. What needs to be bright or crisp is crisp. But overall, the mix is very well balanced. In fact, I remember our friend John and Herman and even Will, with Pitbull and John from J Balvin, they were always commenting on that. It was like, man, here comes, CD Brad or something, because they always and all of us, you always think that, it's always that vibe, that mentality of mixing like an album in a way, but with a little more excitement, obviously, because it's live. And I feel that we share that too, because that's why we have so much in common, I think, because that's how I try to approach my mixes as well, whether I'm doing front of house or monitors. On monitors, obviously I don't get to mix for me. I have to mix for what the artist wants or what the band member wants, right? But I could try to add those elements to it. And there are some artists that like that record sort of mix, and I give them that if that's what they like and that's what they want. And that's always the approach, which is why a lot of my processing happens just like you on my master bus. I try to do broad strokes and tailor my whole mix to have a certain sound.
Yep.
So whatever I bring into it, it sounds like a blend or a mix, automatically. So between stereo imagers, bus compressor. Go ahead.
It's a live band, and you have to have the live element with the control of the dynamics of a great mix, but you got to keep the live feel.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yep.
But that's something that I think is cool to point out, that that approach is that way. You know, try to make that balance, and you have that, man. When I gone out to listen to your stuff, it's always like that, and that's something I really like about your mixes. So I just
Well,
thought I'd let you know.
it's important to listen to the record. You listen to the record, you listen to, how the band has put together the song, and then you listen to what they're playing live and how they're putting it together. It's never going to sound 100% like the record.
Correct.
You get it close, and then you add, you got to keep the live feel to it.
Yes. Like the intent of it, like the sonic signatures of the album should be there. Effects, certain tones,
The lake cues, any of that kind of stuff that people are going to know.
Correct.
In the song. But
let's see. Let's go to another question here.
We got another question?
Or comment. Here's Andrev again. He says, also, if you have time, Eddie, you have some amazing stuff with talkback mics mixes. Can you elaborate on the talkback? Yeah, Andre knows this because he was with us during the whole Eastern Europe tours.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's nothing. I don't see that it's something that elaborate, but because of the flexibility of the console, I basically have my one talkback mic, and I created events with the function keys where, I hold one down, I can talk directly to Brad. I hold the other one down, I can talk to, drummer or band members, or to Sharpie. Shout out to Chris Sharp. He's our amazing audio tech. I can talk directly to him. I can talk to, anybody, basically all separated, directly to Enrique or to Gwen, whoever is my artist, directly to them, and nobody else hears it, directly to our backline techs, Mark and Brett, our amazing techs there too. So if we need to sort a problem, if something's happening, and because they have their talkback mics as well, we could be sorting out an issue, and there's no one will ever know, because only we talk to each other, and it makes a big difference. It keeps everybody happy. Now, on the last buttons, for those who are familiar with the S6L, the bottom row, on the bottom of the console where the armrest will be, there's buttons too, that are the color buttons. When I click any of those, then my talkback will go to everybody. So if I need to talk to everybody at once, I just hit that one and it goes to everybody. So that's kind of the system that I have set up. Someone asked earlier also about you and I, if we use Calm.
Yeah.
And we don't really.
No, we don't. We have the talkback system. We have the shout speakers.
Correct. We have a shout speaker right in front of us if we need to talk to each other. And I also have the radios going through my in-ear. So if someone's actually calling on radio, I can hear them clearly on the in-ear. So if something's happening, we have many other ways of talking about it. There is Calm sometimes set up for us, but we don't use it. But if someone needs to reach out to us, on behalf of Brad or for me, because it's something that is not necessarily related to the show at the moment, or something major, something whatever, then we may use it, but normally we don't.
I never liked having those things. I'm not answering the phone when I'm mixing a show. Oh, what's wrong?
Most of the time it's something that is not even that relevant. But
so what do you make for dinner tonight?
Well, apparently, according to my wife, I'm going to have to make some pak rapao.
Yeah. I think we should end this around, end this here.
Pak rapao, talking about Thai food.
Yeah, maybe we save some things for next time, or if there is going to be a next time.
Yeah, and then we'll spend some time answering any questions. We'll just go in there and answer them on text, on the comments. But man, thanks for taking the time to do this. I think for our first time, I think it's pretty cool. We had a good turnout. Well, right now we got 41 people, and I think we had a little bit more earlier.
Why does my computer say 4 people are watching?
Because four people are watching you, but I think 41 are watching me.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
That's probably what it is.
Okay. All right, then.
That's because of what you said about me, but it's okay. About the line checks and stuff. I know how you roll. Sorry.
I love your line checks.
I know you do. Anyway, thank you guys for watching.
Yes, thanks for watching.
Hit us up. You can see our social media stuff is on the screen. Yep. You can look for us and find us. Stay aware for any of Brad's classes. I'm working out. Yeah, subscribe to all his stuff. Same here. I'm going to be, hopefully soon, offering private lessons for mixing stuff in Pro Tools, and at the same time, hopefully soon as well, doing like some kind of monitor, techniques, or like some kind of master class as well. So stay tuned. Hopefully there'll be more.
I'm gonna sing another song.
Are you? Right
yeah,
now?
eventually. Not right
Why
now.
don't you grab your guitar and sing it now? No?
They're all downstairs in the studio.
Oh, all right. All right, Bradley Dean.
Not like that.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
All right, Bradley Dean. Love you, brother. Thanks
Love
for
you too.
doing this with me. And we'll see everybody soon.
See you next time.
Ciao.